Right, 10 September 2020, and I'm joined live by Mr. Tinashe Jonas, President of Ideal Zimbabwe. How are you, sir?
As usual, I'm honored to be on Gambakwe Media.
Thank you very much, sir. And today we're going to have a quick discussion on the options that are now available to MDC Alliance President Nelson Chamisa after what happened yesterday when he failed to meet the ANC delegation. And I hope that you'll be able to give your views on this situation. And to the people who are watching, I'm going to give you an opportunity to join live. And I'll put the number to WhatsApp where you can WhatsApp and talk to Mr. Jonas live on this discussion. So, Mr. Jonas, the floor is yours. What do you think should happen now?
Okay. The first fundamental piece of information our listeners or viewers need to know is the narrative of Mr. Nelson Chamisa is a faulty narrative, is a false narrative, because his narrative is based on ED must go, ZANU-PF must go, without him having any idea or strategy how ED and ZANU-PF will go. So the foundation of his narrative is false, and it's neither here or there. That's number one. Then the next also information is that a good leader must his behavior must be shaped by the needs of his followers or supporters. What is the problem in Zimbabwe currently? The problem in Zimbabwe now is the political instability, which is caused by each leader wanting to be a president, and now we need painful compromises. So the supporters of Mr. Chamisa, they are waiting for a miracle that can come out of his political bag of strategies, and then he would announce that ED is gone, ZANU-PF is gone. But we know that in reality, ED is there up to 2023. ZANU-PF is there up to 2023. So talking what your supporters want to hear, promising what your supporters want to hear is the opposite of being a good leader. A good leader tells his supporters the reality. Whether your supporters will be angry, will be disappointed, anyhow, but you need to stand for the truth. That's leadership. So Mr. Chamisa reads the mood of the people, reads the expectation of his supporters, and the promises what he can't do. The 31 July movement idea was a false. It was just a fake thing. Jacob Ngarivume knew 31 July is a fantasy. He went on to do it and benefit that money from the money from gullible donors. Job Sikala knew 31 July was a flop, but he went on to agitate the nation and the world, and they knew that it was a fantasy. So that our fellow Zimbabweans are actually in bondage. Chamisa is putting them in an aeroplane of fantasy, and then they are told we are going to land in Germany after 1 hour, and they really expect to be in Germany when the aeroplane never took off. So Mr. Chamisa is running his narrative on fantasy, on lying to his gullible followers. He has got a number of followers, but those followers are gullible. They don't think. So the only option which is there is the option to come back to reality. Is Chamisa brave? Is ZANU-PF is a part of revolutionaries. They were not given this power by social media. They got the power physically with a barrel of a gun. So now to wage a narrative on social media, Zimbabwe Lives Matter, ED must go. I mean, the supporters of Chamisa now, some of them, they are realizing that we are in a bus without an engine, without wheels. ED is the president of the country. So Chamisa needs to swallow his pride, go back to US embassy and sit down with this coach and say, coach, to play soccer, kicking a stone, imagining it's a ball, the result is you are going to break a leg, you are going to lose a lot of blood, and you are going to die. So he must tell Brian Nichols that removing ZANU-PF with a mass uprising is not working. Going on social media, giving journalists money to project me as the most supported, the most deserving, it's not working. After that, he needs to go to Bona Mugabe and Grace Mugabe, as we know that the new offices he's using are owned by Bona Mugabe. He used to use the previous offices in Eastleigh. That complex is owned by Xavier Kasukuere, but maybe they felt that Eastleigh is too far. Now they are sponsored by Bona Mugabe. He needs to go to Bona Mugabe and they say, Bona Mugabe, I've tried to remove ED. If ED removed Mugabe, what about me? How can I remove ED? And then from there, he also go to Kasukuere, Jonathan Moyo, and tell them the truth that we have failed to remove ZANU-PF, we have failed to remove ED. And he goes to all the journalists that he is paying money to project him as like Zimbabwe is in his pocket. And say, guys, can we write the truth now? After that, the reality is Chamisa needs to stop talking that I don't recognize Mnangagwa, I don't legitimacy issue. He must just forget about that. Chamisa must go to Poland with his tail between his legs and then say, ED, my brother, forgive me for whatever I have said, whatever I have done. Can we build Zimbabwe together? When he gets forgiven, he goes to US and ask them to remove sanctions. Then all his ideas, because Chamisa is also brilliant. I can't say Chamisa is not a thinker. He's also a thinker, but he's surrounded by political failures and comedians like Tendai Biti and the Welshman Ngube. Those are political. They belong to the political dustbin. So when the sanctions are removed and we are working nicely, then the country we need political stability. We need political understanding. Chamisa going to ED doesn't mean Chamisa is a failure, doesn't mean Chamisa is a sellout. But for Chamisa to project people like Tinashe Jonas or other people, his supporters, that we are ZANU-PF projects, it's totally rubbish. Because Chamisa is working with Fadzai Mahere, who is a ZANU-PF. We can count so many people in MDC Alliance who are ZANU-PF. So, and Chamisa himself is begging to meet up with the ED. So if me, I reach out to ED, where is my difference with Chamisa? And Chamisa, we know that Chamisa is owned by G40, which is ZANU-PF. So Chamisa must fold his tail and go to ED. Because now that the noise on social media has resulted in the total rejection of SADC, total rejection of AU, Chamisa has been rejected by ANC delegation. Now is the every day, if Chamisa doesn't go to ED, to Poland now, every day, Chamisa is going to be irrelevant.
Okay, so Mr. Jonas, I've given you a chance to explain the current situation And I think it's clear what you're saying, that his current strategy is not working. So let's go to the important part.
Yes.
What should Chamisa do now? Because obviously the election is coming in 2023.
Hello?
Sorry, you're not hearing me. Mr. Jonas, are you not hearing me?
Hello?
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I think let's take a break and we'll come back after a short while. Mr. Jonas, I'm going to put you back on the screen. Are you hearing me, Mr. Jonasi?
Yeah, I'm hearing you well.
Okay, cool. So you can continue. I was saying, given the fact that you say his current strategy has failed, what should Chamisa do now?
To swallow his pride and tell his Chamisa Chete choir members that I failed. I'm not brave. Chamisa, to remove ED, he needs to wage a revolution. And is Chamisa the revolutionary material? No. Chamisa is a coward. Chamisa is fearful. So Chamisa must stop grandstanding. The faking of abductions, the faking of the money is spending on social media, buying hungry Zimbabwean journalists, is a money that he must even invest in his supporters. Maybe they are doing projects to fundraising projects or making candles, whatever projects. He must fund projects and change the lives of his supporter than to buy hungry journalists to write, to project him as the most loved Zimbabwean leader. So Chamisa now, every day from today, Chamisa, if he was a bubble gum, is becoming tasteless very fast.
Okay, but in Zimbabwe, we still have problems. There is an economic crisis, there is a political crisis. So what should be done? Because we can't just say Mnangagwa should be recognized and then end there.
Okay. Remember, our definition of problems in Zimbabwe is very biased and limited. The problem in Zimbabwe is caused by the government, is caused by ZANU-PF, is caused by MDC Alliance, is caused by everyone is involved. Zimbabwe is not made up by ZANU-PF. Zimbabwe is not made up by the office. The whole country is not translated into the office of ED. Zimbabwe has got everyone involved. A Chamisa Chete choir member is a Zimbabwean. An MDCT supporter is a Zimbabwean. A Mtwakazi Republic member is a Zimbabwean. Surely, no country in the world is built by the president or by the ruling party. Every Zimbabwean must play a part. We are so proud to fight one another, to point the fingers on one another. ED is 1 over 15 million Zimbabweans. That's 0.0 whatever fraction you can say. Everyone, we need to join hands now. We need to unite and work together. Tinashe might have one idea. Chamisa might have other ideas. Mende Mkupe has got ideas. Dr. Ngosana Moyo has got some ideas. We need to come together and work together. Leaders, ordinary people, the civic society. This thing, we are divided because we need money. If I join ZANU-PF, it's about what would I get? If I join MDC, what position am I going to get? How much am I going to get? We are saving personal interest. We are saving part interest. We need to save Zimbabwe. We need to national interest. We need to, when we talk the word Zimbabwe, we must not look at tribal lines, racial lines, party lines. The word Zimbabwe must make us equal and love one another.
Okay, then the issue of dialogue. The MDC spokesperson, Fadzai Mahere, said there needs to be dialogue so that these problems that are there in Zimbabwe can be addressed.
Okay.
Why is ED refusing to have dialogue?
Okay. Okay. First, let me answer that Fadzai Mahere is calling for a dialogue. It's the narrative that is, it's the US Embassy narrative of the dialogue. And then it's fed on Nelson Chamisa. Chamisa then feed it on Fadzai Mahere. When you call for a dialogue, on what basis? There is no one in Zimbabwe who can call for a dialogue except ED and ZANU-PF. Because the ED and ZANU-PF, they are in power. They control systems. They run the systems. So how can Fadzai Mahere, who is failing who failed as a politician, who is failing to get married, and then have the power to call the president of the country for a dialogue? She is overrating herself. Nelson Chamisa is not having any power to call ZANU-PF to a table. That Nelson Chamisa, when he invites ED to talks, in his capacity as who? So this is a fake narrative. ED created Pollard that he said anyone who wants to talk to other leaders and myself, you must come. So there is Pollard already, but Chamisa is thinking. Chamisa wants to be given power. He wants to be given power, so that Chamisa is not recognizing any other leader. He thinks he is more important because he got 2.1 million votes, forgetting that those votes, he got them from Zimbabweans who support MDC, from Zimbabweans who idolized Morgan Tsvangirai, from Zimbabweans who thought if we don't like ZANU-PF, let's vote, he stands a better chance. He thinks everyone who voted for him merely loved his character, loved his name, which is very misplaced. So Chamisa, there is no country in the world that a leader who loses election calls for a dialogue. There is parliament. We have got the courts. We have got the parliament runs the country, the courts runs the country, the president's office, the ministers. So where is the dialogue? Is Chamisa saying in the president's office they don't have dialogue? In parliament they don't have dialogue? Cabinet meetings they don't have dialogues? What kind of a dialogue are we talking about here? Because every minister has got a minister has got a deputy minister, they've got a permanent secretary, they've got their boards. People are talking all over. But the dialogue they are saying, they are hiding behind the finger. They want to meet ED and talk legitimacy. ED, did you win? You didn't win the elections. How did you win the elections? And then maybe ED says, no, 1, 2, 3. Okay, hand over the power to me. They want the power. They mustn't not fool everyone and talk about dialogue. South Africa had elections. People like Malema, they lost. Ramaphosa won the elections. Are they now? Are they doing a dialogue? No. Malawi, they had elections. Now there's a new president. Are they doing a dialogue? The answer is no.
Right. I get you, Mr. Jonas, and I want to give you a short break. And what I'm going to do is I want to go through the comments. And most of the comments here, people don't agree with the fact that you are attacking Chamisa. And let's read a few comments. And I see we're having network issues today. So we're going to try to cut this off before 30 minutes. So most people are saying, why are you in South Africa? That's the first question. So take note of that question. And then the second question is, why do you talk to Jonas every week? And then the other question is Ideal Zimbabwe about Chamisa? Why don't you talk about your own party? There is a question, Chamisa, apana zvaanomuita. Chamisa is very popular. You cannot do anything to him. There is some insults here. And then ANC, SADC, and AU are fully behind ZANU-PF. Jonas is after Chamisa. Is he in opposition to the opposition? Well, there's some more insults. Then forgiveness. Why should there be forgiveness? Then Jonas is not answering the question. What should Chamisa do now? That is one more. Then let me look at some more comments here. You see, you guys say, as long as Chamisa, that you are exposing yourself. You must say Zimbabwean people. This is about us, not Chamisa. You started well, but I see you are losing it now. Then let's look at another comment here. Gambakwe, why are you giving Jonas so much time to talk? I think that's a question for me. Then I want to go to a comment by Nataka Africa. Unity starts with MDC Chamisa and MDC Coupe dialogue to form one party. And when ZANU Mnangagwa and ZANU Kaskwere dialogue to form one party. Dialogue starts in an individual political parties. If they can't dialogue in their own parties, how can they dialogue at national level? And I think we've got a number of comments here which are almost similar. And then there's a final question which says, why is Jonas always speaking on social media than for him to go to Zimbabwe, but he's biting other opposite leaders and he's afraid of being arrested when he gets to Zimbabwe? That's the number of comments that we have here. And I think I've given you a break and also an understanding of what people think about you.
Okay.
I think let's start with the question. Why are you attacking Chamisa? That's an important question.
Okay. Yeah. I thank you for the opportunity to answer that question, because I think maybe most people are wondering why. To begin with, when Nelson Chamisa became me and Nelson Chamisa, we represent the fourth generation, the 40 years, the plus or minus 40 years old politicians in Zimbabwe. Then we have got the Robert Mugabe, the E.D. Mnangagwa, I mean, they are, I can say there are 2 or 3 generations ahead of us. Okay, so that's the first thing. Meaning, our generation of 40 years, or the G40, we need, if we need to learn something, strengths from the previous, the current generation. We need to learn something, their strengths and their weaknesses, and then better them. Because each generation must bring something better than the previous generation, because we learn from them. ZANU-PF is in power right now, and mostly people in the ZANU-PF administration, mostly they are 60 years and above. So that means there are 2 or 3 generations older than us. And most of them, they believe much about it. They choose a leader because the leader came from the War of Liberation, which is the first mistake. And they don't choose a leader mainly on capacity. And they are far from reality. You know, so our current generation must deal with reality. So I don't like the tendency of Nelson Chamisa of knowing that he has got people, supporters who are behind him. And then he chooses to abuse the support by creating. Chamisa knows that he is fearful. No one can doubt that Chamisa is a coward. No one. Within MDC alliance itself, Tendai Beat is better. Job Scala is better. I don't even know why Chamisa is the president of MDC alliance. Because to me, maybe he might qualify in the standing committee in the top 9, not top 3. No. So now, and Chamisa is now talking about fights against the ED. Chamisa is talking about I've got some ideas to remove ED, but I won't announce. I know he's lying. Chamisa is sacrificing his people. How can his supporters be beaten outside the harvest house and he's inside the harvest house delivering a speech? Sona, and he doesn't even stop the speech in honor of his members who are being beaten outside the harvest house. He continues with the business as usual. Chamisa is a clean politician who doesn't want to be beaten, to be arrested, but he's putting other his supporters like Joanna Mamombe to act fake dramas, going to prison and what. Chamisa is sacrificing his supporters for his power. That is deceiving. If Chamisa says ZANU-PF is bad, let's remove it. Then me, Chamisa, and other young leaders, we need to stand for the truth. We need to stand for reality. And then if we remove ZANU-PF, then we need to better the lives of people. So Chamisa is saying to Zimbabweans, nothing would work until I'm a president. And Chamisa now put his supporters on the edge. And Chamisa knows that he is not going to be a president until 2023. His chances of becoming a president are there in 2023 if he wins. But for now, he will never be a president. So, but Chamisa is lying to his supporters and they are believing in him. Second, Chamisa is bribing all the journalists in Zimbabwe. Online journalists, they don't cover other leaders. They don't. They cover Chamisa because Chamisa had access to funding because of G40. So he appears like he's the only leader in Zimbabwe. Number three, Chamisa says ZANU-PF is bad. But I know Chamisa is a ZANU-PF. Chamisa is ZANU-PF. That's why I'm telling his supporters that when he was removed from Harvest House, the offices he was using belonged to Kasukuwere. Now he has moved to the offices owned by Bonamugabe. So Chamisa is fooling Zimbabwe that I know ZANU-PF is bad. Supporters of Chamisa, they don't want ZANU-PF at all. They are told ZANU-PF is evil, is bad, but Chamisa is ZANU-PF.
Okay, I think let us. That question is answered. I think that question is answered. You are saying that Chamisa is deceiving his supporters. That's why you're attacking him, so that the supporters can open their eyes.
Yes,
I think that's answered. And as a follow-up, you are saying he wants dialogue with ZANU-PF, but he doesn't want other opposition leaders to talk to ZANU-PF.
Yes. Right now, I'm engaging ZANU-PF. To MDC Alliance supporters, Tinashe will be a ZANU-PF project. Madam Coupe is engaging with the ZANU-PF and ED. To Chamisa supporters, Chamisa tells his supporters, Coupe is a ZANU-PF, Monzora is a ZANU-PF, because they are dealing with ZANU-PF. Yet Chamisa is on record many times that he wants to talk to ED, but his supporters, they don't think he's ZANU-PF, but he wants to talk to ED. So
okay,
Chamisa,
so I get you, and I want to apologize to Advocate Mahere. There's a person here who has said we must apologize for saying Mahere is not married, and Moses Ndala, we apologize to Advocate Mahere because her marital status is none of our business. But I want us to continue, and I want to answer the question of why I always bring you here. And this is an open platform. We're giving everyone a platform, and I've put a number here on the screen. Right now, if you want to come live as we speak right now, you can come and be live, not tomorrow, like now. So if you don't take the opportunity to come on the platform, there's nothing I can do. I talk to the people that want to talk to us. And the number is there on the screen. If you WhatsApp me, then we are going to bring you live. And you can talk to Jonas live, not through a WhatsApp. So that is the opportunity that I'm giving to everyone. So every week, Mr. Jonas comes once or twice to talk to us. Mr. Jonas, do you apologize for that statement that Mahere is failing to get married?
I don't apologize because Mahere and Chamisa are also selling narratives through even the Simbachi Kanza. Simbachi Kanza has been saying on record, I mean, being sent by Nelson Chamisa, that Tinashe is a military intelligence. But they don't, I mean, there's a lot that of rubbish that MDC Alliance has said about me. And they will never apologize. So I don't, I must go to hell.
Okay, so I get you. You're saying this is part of the game of politics.
Yeah.
People get insulted and they have to insult the other people. So if people call you military intelligence, you don't go and say, please apologize. Now let's go.
Yeah,
let's go to the next part. You said Chamisa must recognize ED. And what then? The MDC wants a National Transitional Authority. The Chamisa no longer has a political party. They've taken away his political party. What happens then? What is the future for Zimbabweans? We want a solution. The politicians have their own problems, but we want a solution.
The solution to Zimbabwean problems, the solution, ED will never come with solutions. ZANU-PF is not going to come with solutions. Solutions of Zimbabwe, Zimbabwean problems need Zimbabwean solutions. Tinashe must be involved. Everyone must be involved in driving our country to prosperity. What determines a development, economic development in a country? It's a unity of purpose. Whether you call it a Zimbabwean dream or whatever you can call it, we need a national discourse. Unity is not achieved through dialogue. No. Unity is your mindset. It's a decision. That's why I'm no longer insulting ED. I'm no longer insulting ED because the ED is a player is a stakeholder. That's why I want other leaders to come so that we are even whether you're a leader or ordinary person, we need to work together now. Because as I say, everyone has got an idea. Chamisa loves Zimbabwe. He has got ideas. Madam Kupe loves Zimbabwe. Mutwaka's Republic loves Zimbabwe. Can we combine together and engage? Not in a dialogue. I can even call a certain leader and we can talk over the phone. It's not about sitting down over a table and say, let's run the country. When we do that, we are forgetting who is the president. We are forgetting which is the government. I mean, a dialogue will not replace a local government. A dialogue must not replace the ministers, must not replace the parliament, the courts. A country is run constitutionally. We don't have a dialogue in our constitution, in any constitution in the world. Why did the people participate in the previous elections? If they believe a country is run on dialogue, why are people forming political parties if they believe a country is run by a dialogue? This dialogue thing is nonsense and is one of the reasons it's dialogue narrative and the sanctions narrative that is making our country to go backwards. There is no country which is run, America, which is perceived as the epicenter of democracy. Are they doing dialogues? So we need to stop this. There is no GNU. We don't want a GNU. We don't want a National Transition Authority, which is a brainchild of a failed politician called Tendai Biti. Tendai Biti must look after his health, his failing health, and forget about any NTA. Because he wanted to regain his cabinet post as a finance minister. Is Tendai Biti a finance minister? Is he an economist? He's a lawyer. He must practice law and forget about wanting MDC Alliance want a back door to the GNU so that they eat again. They can't. Right. So they must stop that the NTA nonsense of PDP, a failed PDP, a failed MDC Alliance. They must swallow their pride and unite as a nation. We need to unite. The arrogance of people like Charlton Wende, the arrogance of Chamisa, the arrogance of BT, it's taking us nowhere. Their supporters are suffering. The supporters of everyone is suffering. We need unity now as Zimbabweans. We need the unity. What I want is a country that we talk one language, which is the language of unity.
Okay, so let's end with this question that you asked. That why are you in South Africa if you think that there's no problems in Zimbabwe, if you think that you'll be safe if you go to Zimbabwe?
A brilliant question. You know, I was once a bitter politician. I was once full of hatred, fighting my government, fighting everyone. Obviously, it's a public knowledge that at some point last year I was in prison and I got bail. And when I looked at the bail conditions, technically they were muting me from saying anything political, and I left the country. But I realized that there's a fight in Zimbabwe. We have got a bloody political fight. As an opposition, I was judging ZANU PF, the bad they do to opposition leaders. I was also not judging myself. What contribution am I making? There's too much hatred in Zimbabwe in politics. We are too polarized. We insult each other. Then I got time to reflect on my own political career, my own faults, my strengths. I realized that my strength is I'm vocal. I can talk anything. I can express my mind, no matter the danger, no matter someone is going to love me or get angry. It's my strength. I can express myself. But my weakness, I talk hatred. I talk insults. So I must improve on that. That's why I asked for forgiveness from ED. He forgave me. And I asked for forgiveness from Nelson Chamisa. He forgave me. So now, I am now talking. I want ED, Chamisa, everyone to be brothers. We need to be brothers. If Chamisa now can regain his mind and be honest, we need him. Chamisa is a player. He's a stakeholder. Chamisa is an asset. He has got value in Zimbabwe, like any other leader. I can't underrate Chamisa. He has got value. But that value must be added and synchronized to other leaders. No matter a leader can have 2 members in his political party. That leader is important. Those 2 members of the party, they are important. Those Zimbabweans who are not members of any political party, they are very, very important. Those Zimbabweans who are not voting, they are very, very important. No one is a better Zimbabwean. No one is a less Zimbabwean. We should not look about how much money you have got, how much education, how much popularity. All those things, they don't make anyone better than the other. We need to be humble before Zimbabwe. We need to recognize one another. I recognize Chamisa as a leader. He must recognize me. He must recognize ED. ED must also recognize me as a leader or as a citizen. So we need to appreciate one another, tolerate one another. It was not easy for me to apologize to Chamisa, to apologize to ED. But if I look at my importance to Zimbabwe, I'm equally like the same. So arrogance, pride must fall.
Okay, the question is, so that's a comment from Lord Balish. The question is, why are you in South Africa? You are not replying.
Okay. No. Right now, I am standing for peace. And those who know that if my cases, I had 2 pending cases in Zimbabwe that I ran away from. Those cases, the first, they were opened by the president's office. So the same president that I insulted and opened cases against me, I asked for forgiveness. He forgave me. Meaning, I'm just hearing that around 1 October, the borders might be opened. The flights would be, I mean, would be operational. I'm not sure, but if it happens, probably the earliest flight from OR Tambo to RG Airport, I'll be in October. I'll be in Zimbabwe. As long the airports are opened, I'll be in Zimbabwe.
Okay, so I think that is answered. You are going to be traveling to Zimbabwe. You are not running away from Zimbabwe. You're only here because there's a lockdown. And as I said also some time back, I am personally going to be in Zimbabwe before December. I've got no fear of anything happening to me. And if anything happens to me, then that is what it is. But I think many people want to understand, obviously, because you are criticizing Chamisa, and he said there's human rights abuses, why you are not there. So I think that question is answered. I'll be doing lives with you, and we'll be in Zimbabwe together, or you'll be in Zimbabwe and I'll be in South Africa. So I think that is answered in terms of, yeah, and a number of people wanted to join, but unfortunately we are having a weak network today. There's load shedding in South Africa. So in my area, there's no electricity. I'm using backup power, and my network is very, very weak. So I want us to conclude. We've gone for 41 minutes, and I want us to conclude with the US ambassador who wanted to meet with the South African delegation.
Yeah.
What is your view on that as we conclude?
Is out of order. That ambassador is totally out of order, because I think he thinks the US embassy is a political party, is a Zimbabwean opposition party. The ANC delegation didn't come to Zimbabwe to mediate. They didn't come to Zimbabwe to remove ZANU-PF. They come to Zimbabwe to engage ZANU-PF, which is the government of Zimbabwe. I mean, ANC is a ruling party, is a government of South Africa. ZANU-PF is the government of South Africa. If a US ambassador can parrot in a discussion with ANC delegation, his parroting would never change anything. Change in Zimbabwe right now is going to come through ZANU-PF. If I can talk to ED tomorrow and say, ED, why can't you do 1, 2, 3? ED, if he buys what I'm saying, he can change it now. What is power? Power means controlling the system. ZANU-PF are in power up to 2023, controlling systems. That's why I said we need each other. I'm an opposition leader, but my party is not only to oppose, my party is also to engage. It's not bad for an opposition leader to engage a ruling party. No, it's not selling out. But what I can tell Zimbabweans now, it won't change, because I don't have power. I can police the ruling party. I can engage them. So we need the smart politics. So the US ambassador, even if he can meet the South African delegation 20 times in a day, that will never change the lives of a Zimbabwean in Gokwe, in Mashingo, in Chiendambuya. What we need is Zimbabwean solutions, homegrown solutions. The American ambassador is failing to mitigate the COVID-19 pandemic in the US. Over 6 million people, over 200,000 deaths. He's failing to mitigate a disputed election in America. He's failing to mitigate racial discrimination and crisis in America. He must shut up.
Okay, Mr. Tinashe Jonas, I really enjoy talking to you every week. And I want Zimbabweans to know that politics is not a church. So I do not expect my guests to speak in a way that I agree with. I know that every politician is different. They talk in their own way. So please don't blame me for the words of Mr. Tinashe Jonas about Mr. BT, about Advocate Mahere. I cannot censor Mr. Jonas to say, because you said this, then you can't come here. I've also known Mr. Jonas as someone who is very interested in change in Zimbabwe. So I hope that you understand. And Mr. Jonas is available. His number is on the screen right now. If you want to talk to him, you can WhatsApp him on that number, and you can always deal with the issues that you have. I've already received a number of WhatsApps complaining about you and Advocate Mahere. The statement that you said, I think I've received 4 WhatsApps as it is. So people are very sensitive about that topic. So I think let's end it here. And thank you very much to the people that are watching. We're live on WhatsApp, on YouTube, and on Facebook. And we're going to put this video on WhatsApp. We'll take some parts and put them on WhatsApp. Is there anything else you want to say before we close, Mr. Jonas?
Yeah. What I want to say is that, number one, I'm not a politician who was created by certain people. It was my conscious decision to be active in the matters of my country. So I'm not in politics to be an opposition that would make anyone happy. I'm not here in the business of making anyone happy. If I'm to please one person, that person must be called the Republic of Zimbabwe. So I'm sorry to those opposition supporters who love other political parties, and they think because I'm in opposition, so I must come to under Chamisa and lick his balls. I did inform my party to lick Chamisa's ego. So if I stand for the truth. I've said anything about ED to the level of even going to prison, speaking truth to power. I'm not afraid to tell ED the truth. I'm not afraid to tell anyone the truth. I even went to prison for telling ED the truth. So people must not think that I would then hide the truth from Nelson Chamisa. I want Zimbabwe to work, not Chamisa to be a president or ED to be a president. I'm talking of Zimbabwe here. I'm not talking about any political party. So there's no rule that when you're an opposition leader, you must then say good about other opposition leaders, even their mistakes. Chamisa is popular. I have never said Chamisa is not popular. The fact is popular, and he is popular. But I focus on the weaknesses. The weakness is pride, and looking like he doesn't like ED, he doesn't like ZANU-PF. When Chamisa is a G40, Chamisa is a ZANU-PF a faction. So he must talk the truth. Chamisa come home to Zimbabwe. We want to unite. Let's make Zimbabwe work. Your supporters, they don't like ZANU-PF. They don't know that you are ZANU-PF B G40. Zimbabweans, you deserve the truth. Like me or you don't, I will remain telling you the truth. MDC Alliance, are you denying Fatai Mahere is a ZANU-PF? Are you denying that?
Right, Mr. Jonasi, I think we can go on for a very long time. And I really appreciate that you have expressed yourself this week on the way forward, which in summary is that Chamisa should stop what he's been doing, which I call the gesture approach, and unite with other Zimbabwean political parties and accept that Mnangagwa won the elections and start preparing to win in 2023. I think let us end it here, and thank you very much for everyone who's watching. I'll be back again. I'll have another live later on at 8 p.m. as usual, and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much, Mr. Jonasi.
Thank you so much.